Hey everyone. Welcome to Zoetic Chat, Unleash Your Life's Journey with me, John Mayfield. This ultimate podcast for spiritual guidance will answer all your life, soul and spiritual questions. I'm thrilled to have you join me every week. My vast knowledge, wisdom and experience are crucial to your personal and spiritual growth. Together we will explore a variety of topics and delve deeply into the truths of my life and spiritual path. Don't forget to sign up to my newsletter at johnmayfield.com. Hey. Welcome to another episode of Zoetic Chat, Unleash Your Life's Journey with me, John Mayfield. Hope you had an amazing month since the last time that we spoke. Many of you have been on holiday, I'm sure, visiting far off lands or traveling around the country that you live in. You know, very often when we're doing just normal everyday things or life experiences or doing things that we're expected to do in life, we can come up against resistance. Resistance can often manifest itself in fear. And it's fear that I'm going to be talking about today. You will hear me if you come onto my spiritual development groups or any of my other teaching courses, you will hear me talk about fear a lot, because fear stops people moving forward. The thought, the fear that can create anxiety and can just stop you from doing things, stop you moving forward. Now, I believe that fear is created when we're in the womb up to the age of 7, or it's to do with a past life, or it can be an experience that you've had in your life before this present day. For example, if it's something that's created in womb to 7, that's usually when someone has done something to or against you, and it's created a fear in you at that age. When you have that fear created in you at that age, that then stays in your subconscious mind and it stays connected to you. For example, you might have gone to nursery and there used to be a bully there, someone that would poke you. Oh, you're horrible. You've got horrible hair. Look at what you're wearing, and poke you. And maybe that was, let's say, a boy with brown curly hair and always wore a green jumper. So as you go forward in your life, sometimes you might meet someone with brown curly hair and it triggers something inside you. You might meet someone that often wears green, or on that particular day they're wearing green, and that makes your belly tighten up because something bad happened when you were young with a person wearing green or a person having curly brown hair. You can't equate the two at the time. You know that you just get this strange feeling or this tightness in your belly. That can happen with words as well. Someone might have always called you stupid or thick or unworthy, those kind of words. And when you hear those words, it creates that association of a feeling inside of you. And it's often a tightening or a yucky feeling in your belly, or an uneasy feeling that, oh, I don't know what that is. I'm not quite sure why I'm feeling like that. And you perhaps never work it out until you come across someone like me that talks about this sort of stuff. So that is creating a fear in womb to 7 era, and also any time after that with people that you might meet. You know, you might have had a partner in the past that hurt you verbally or physically, and they might be 6'6" tall, very pale skinned, and wear rimless glasses. So if you come across against someone 6'6" tall, you'll find yourself shying away from them, rimless glasses. You might watch a newsreader or someone and you might think, not really taking a fancy to them. Oh, they're wearing rimless glasses. My ex used to wear rimless glasses. So it's not the person that you're having a fear or a funny feeling with. It's actually the glasses, because the glasses connect to you, to your ex that did something not so nice. And that's how life goes. We create things, people create things around us, feelings, opportunities, misadventures, and then they regurgitate and they repeat throughout our lives. And if we don't let go of them, then they will continually to create havoc, to stop us doing things, to hold us back. But there's another way that fear can be created with us. It's in a past life. Now, whether or not you believe in past lives, you will all, I guess, have feelings of deja vu. And that often is a sense that I've been here before, I've done this before. So past life is nothing really less than that. It is a fact that you've been here before. The fact that you're feeling something, or you can be feeling something, and you can't equate it to anything earthly at this moment in time, can be from a life that you've had before. And I've proven this many, many times when I do past life connections or regressions with people. So a past life connection is when I connect into their past lives and I speak and describe and talk about their past life. And the universe will give me that, just like it gives me words and messages to give to someone in a reading, a psychic reading or a clairvoyant reading. They'll take me into a past life. So, for example, the other day, I was doing this for someone and I connected to a little girl who was wearing a caliper. She was about 4 or 5 years old. The prettiest dress she was wearing. However, it was all covered in mud and dirt. Her shoes were all scraped and dirty. And she got the most beautiful light brown, curly, ringleted hair, a lovely smile on her face, quite a round face, but she'd got ruddy cheeks as if she always spent a lot of time outside. And she'd got a sadness with her also. I took this past life a little bit further and I pulled back to see where she was. And she was in a clearing in some woods where the ground was all gravelly. That's how she'd got dirty. And I pulled back a little bit further and they showed me a driveway going up to a mansion. And at this particular time, there was a car pulling up at the mansion. Now, I know the car was one of the very first cars that ever came out. And I know that I was in England. And a man got out of the car with a bag, a Gladstone bag, I think it's called, that the doctors used to carry. It was brown leather. He was quite smart, but rugged. And he went straight in up to the door, up the steps. The door was opened for him and he went in. And the little girl's mother was ill. So he was going to visit the mother. And the father wasn't around, but the little girl was always told to go and play in the garden, go and play outside. So she went into the woods and she adventured around all the grounds. They've got so many acres. And then the father came home, but he went upstairs and was chastising the mother for being ill. Why are you ill? Why aren't you doing what you should be doing? Where's our little girl? I'm not saying the name on here. Where's our little girl? And he used to shout at the mother, slap her. And even though she was ill and laying in bed and really needed love, comfort, support, and care, he didn't care. The little girl came in one day and heard this, and she knew why, in one respect, her mother wasn't getting out of bed and feeling any better. It was because she didn't want to face her husband, the child's father. And as time went on, the mother got more ill and stayed in bed most of the time. The little girl would go and sit there, but when father came home, he'd knock her off the bed with the back of his hand and she'd run and go and sit in the woods and cry. And he used to call her names for wearing a caliper. And she used to get anxiety. Oh, it's making me emotional thinking about it, connecting into it. She used to get anxiety because she was wearing a caliper, because she couldn't walk and run like other children, because she didn't like the way that her father treated the mother, and she used to get headaches herself. In this life, she had a problem with her hip. She had headaches. She had abandonment issues. And she had issues with father. And also issues with mother in this life. The issues with mother in this life relate to her not having a what you might call a normal childhood with mother, because mother was always ill, and mother did pass over, when the child was 13. Father kept going away and coming back, so she felt abandoned by her mother for passing away and not being with her while she was alive. She felt abandoned by her father because he kept going away, working away, visiting, doing whatever he was doing when he was walking away. We wasn't shown that. And also, she had a fear of medics because the medics never made her mummy better. So all those fears were brought through from a past life. And that lady that I was speaking to, giving the message to, she had all those fears in this life. And when we released those fears, released those connections to the past lives, the fears faded until the fears stopped. And she realized that she could have a relationship with mother. She could have a relationship with father and men. And she eventually got rid of her hip problem, because her hip problem stemmed from wearing the caliper and being twisted, but it wasn't really connecting to anything in this life. There was no diagnosis medically for her hip problem, and it did go. So connecting into your past lives with someone like me can bring forward a whole lot of things, confirmations that you will need to let go of in this life to allow this life to flow properly. Many people have a fear of success. They hold back in business, but they don't know why. But they know they can do it. They know they want to start this business. I can do it. I've got everything ready. But Jan, why can't I go forward with it? And there's often a fear of success. Equally, there's a fear of failure in that somewhere. People often have a fear of loving, because maybe they were never loved, or they did love and it got taken away from them, or it was a conditional love. And we should all have unconditional love. They have a fear of the past. They have a fear of the future. They have a fear of stepping out of their comfort zone, fear of finishing what they've started, because that in itself can lead to success. A fear of what will happen. If I do this, what will happen? So it's the what will happen which they have a fear of. So many people's phobias as well can be connected to a past life or a fear that's been created in this life. So, for example, someone I know had a fear of vomiting, and there wasn't so much the fear of vomiting. It was because when they were younger, they got told off for making a mess once. And now when you're young, you can't help it, can you? Sorry if anyone's eating. And you can't help it. But they found out they'd got an allergy to cheese. So when they stopped eating cheese, stopped thinking about cheese, stopped connecting cheese and that together, the phobia disappeared. And within time, you've guessed it, they can now eat cheese. So it all connected to a phobia of one thing created by another thing. It's very, very interesting when you dip into people's lives and find the pathways that connect you to your fears and phobias now. It's really interesting. And it's light bulb moments for you, because You know, people in the 50s, 60s, and 70s will say, I've spent all those years having a phobia of that, and now I've released it. It's like I've got a new lease of life. They get really excited. Fear is the step before excitement. Remember that. If you have a fear, it's a stop, but it's stopping you doing something exciting. So if you start to think of fear as an excitement, as an anticipation, as something you're going to go do, flip it over so that you're not in fear of something, you're in anticipation of something, and it's going to be euphoric or ecstatic. So change that fear into something like that. If you think of fear to something from the past connecting to you, then you need to cut the connection. So if you imagine that there's a thread connecting to the fear in the past and to you, so you are connected, we need to cut that connection. That connection can be a cord, it can be a chain, it can be anything, as long as you can visualize it. And then you need to take yourself off into, I would close my eyes and I would visualize this cord connecting me to a fear. And I would tell the universe that I'm ready to release all connections on all levels in all lives to that fear. And then I'd close my eyes and see myself cutting that fear away. Now, when I've cut fears away, I've used a chainsaw, I've used an axe, I've used scissors. I don't know if I can say these words on here, but we'll see. I've used all sorts of implements, depending how strong the fear was. I had to let go of a fear connecting to a family member once. And it took me 60 something days of continually repeating the little mantra that I've just said to you. And eventually I did it. And eventually I got some shears, grass cutting shears, and I just cut the last bit, because throughout that time that I was doing it, I was shredding, but I couldn't actually cut through that last bit. And I remember with my eyes closed, visualizing that frayed rope that connected me to a fear, connecting to a family member. I'd got a tiny bit left. So with my eyes closed, I visualized these old shears that my granddad had with red handles, half rusty blades, but the rusty blade that wasn't rusty, he used to hone, and it was as sharp can be. So I remember borrowing them. I visualized myself asking him if I could borrow his shears. I've got a job to do, Grandad. And then I snapped them closed shut onto that tiny bit of rope, and it cut. Oh, I felt amazing. Oh my God. I felt like my whole self had lifted, almost like I was levitating. I was levitating because I'd been held down for so long by that fear connection to something that a family member had done or said to me. I'm not sharing that on here, the exact thing, but please know that I released it. How did I know that I'd released it apart from that euphoric feeling of doing it? Because before I started, I felt the fear. Closed my eyes and I felt the fear. I said the fear, I thought the fear, and then in my body, I felt it. I felt it in my voice box, I felt it in my heart, and I felt it in my belly. So that fear connecting to that person in my family stopped me speaking as much as I wanted to. It stopped me, made me love differently, I believe. And it gave me that uncertainty in my belly. So when I cut the last tiny bit of that thread, I thought about the person. I thought about what they'd done. I'd thought about the fear, and I got nothing. I got no feeling in my throat. My heart felt just as it was before I thought about it, and my belly didn't turn over. It did not turn over. It was amazing. And when I think of that person now and think of those actions, I have nothing. So I'm more able now to speak in a more flowing way. Most of the time, My heart center is different. I have no blockages in my heart, and my belly does not turn over when I think of or am with that person. I'm just stirring my lemon drink. I'm going to make this part of my podcast because I need to drink when I'm talking. And I always, those of you that know me, that see me, I have a pint glass mug with a frog etched on it that somebody sent me because they know I like frogs, or they're waiting for me to kiss the last frog so I can find my prince. So cheers to the glass mug with the frog on, full of hot water, honey, fresh lemon and ginger. Cheers. It's lovely. So I've just shared my drink with you. I hope you enjoyed it. So can you see how everything in your daily life for years and years can be creating a phobia, can be creating a fear to stop you moving forward? Even if somebody comes to me and they say, I'm stuck, I can't move forward, I don't know what to do, I'll find a fear. I'll say, you've got a fear. No, I haven't. I haven't got a fear. I've let go of all my fears. I'll find it and we will let go. And they'll say things like, I never thought that was a fear. Although I didn't know somebody doing that would give me a fear. They don't equate the two together. So years and years ago, when I was probably maybe about 11, where we lived, there was this guy that lived a few doors away. And I think he made, I don't know if he made it, I'm sure he made it, a canoe. And it was yellow. He made this yellow canoe. And I think he walked home from school with it. I know he brought it from school. Please excuse if my memory doesn't serve me correctly. We lived not far from a river. It was probably about a 10-minute walk to get to this river. Anyway, one day he was carrying this canoe down the street and I asked him where he was going. He says, oh, I'm going to test my canoe in the river. So I says, can I come with you? And then there was a few other children in the street following behind. He was like the Pied Piper with this canoe on his shoulder. He might have had it on his head at some point, and all these other children in the street following. And we followed him to the river. Now, the river wasn't a fast-flowing river or anything like that. It was just bobbing about, really. And we had to walk past lagoons, deep lagoons, where they used to dredge out the shingle and gravel, you know, so they fed a gravel pit. And then we walked through all this grass with all the beautiful wild flowers dancing around in the breeze. And it was a lovely summer's day, I have to say that, but not too hot. Anyway, we all walked through this grass and we got to the side of the river and we walked along a bit further and he got into the canoe, in the water, on the water, and he started to row. Anyway, we all ran along by the riverside because we thought it was fabulous. Normally, we're just on our own without a man in a canoe to watch. And he came, and then a little bit afterwards, he got out and he says, does anybody want to get in and try it? And I said, oh, I will. Me, please. Excited, no fears, nothing to stop me going in that water. I felt excited and I thought, I can do this. Excuse me. So I got into the canoe and he said, just go down the middle there, keep going, you'll be all right. I'm on the side, I can jump in if anything happens. So I thought, great. So I went a little bit further and all of a sudden, this canoe started whizzing around in a circle. And my head was whizzing around with it. And my eyes were whizzing around. And I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus on anything except whizzing around. And I know I felt dizzy. And I'm like, help me. What shall I do? And anyway, I got help and he came and helped me. But the weird thing is, that water was only about 2 foot deep, no more than that. And he waded out to me, but the canoe wouldn't stop spinning. And what it was, that area was taking water into the cooling plant to do with a power station. So I'd got caught in the turmoil of the water going into the cooling station. Excuse me. Did that stop me going on water? Yes, it did. But it didn't consciously stop me going on water. What I've realised is over time, I've never felt drawn to going on boats. I have been on boats. I have been on a ferry. When I was in Greece, I caught the ferry from one Greek island to another. And I didn't feel comfortable, but I talked myself into that I was okay, but I didn't know why I was uncomfortable. I couldn't, this boat thing didn't always come into my mind. Anyway, I'd been on that, and I'd been on a ferry to, I think, the Isle of Wight. I didn't like that, I have to say. But that's it. That's all I can think of to do with water. Apart from swimming, I need to touch the bottom. I'm that kind of a swimmer. Not really a solid swimmer, just a bit of a breaststroke up and down, you know. What sort of a swimmer are you? Anyway, so I came out of there, and somebody told my mum and dad. One of the other children told their mum and dad, oh, because my proper name's Janet. Janet's been in the water. Janet's been in the river. Janet got stuck in the river. Janet this, Janet that. Oh, so when my dad came home, he wasn't happy, was he? Well, what have you been doing? This, that, and the other. My dad being the strict dad told me off, basically. Because another child told their parents who told my parents. I wasn't in any danger. I just had an experience. But I had to promise never to go in that canoe again. And I think the chap was probably told never to take me in the canoe again. But I had a lovely experience at the time. And I was out of my comfort zone, and it felt good. Coming back to the present day and talking about holidays earlier, I've not long been on holiday. And before I went, I said to myself, I want to do lots of walking, I want to relax, and I want some beach days. I just wanted to sit on the beach, on those bed, on a chair, under an umbrella, somebody bringing me drinks and my lunch, watching the world go by. A bit of reading if I want to, a bit of podcasting, whatever I wanted to do. I just wanted me in the heat, walking for as many miles as I want to, and sitting for as long as I wanted to. When I was at the airport, I thought I'm going to buy a book. Now, I haven't held a book and read a book for years because I listen to audiobooks. And I always listen to audiobooks because I never make time for reading. So I listen to audiobooks when I'm walking, when I'm in the car, if I'm in the shower, I listen to audiobooks. If I'm cooking, I'll listen to an audiobook. Well, you can't really read books in those places. So anyway, I was looking and I saw this book and I thought, oh yeah, I quite fancy reading that. But then I thought, no, I'll look around at everything else. You know what it's like? You go in a shoe shop, you like the first pair of shoes you try on, and then you go and look at 150 more pairs and come back to the first one. Well, I did that with this book. Now, as I'm doing this podcast now, I'm thinking, what was the book called? I can't remember. Where is the book? I don't know. I don't know if I've left that on holiday, but I'll be sure to tell you about it in another podcast. Anyway, I started reading this book. I could not put it down. I spent the first day of my holiday, which was the next day because I arrived late in the evening, by the pool. There was only me on a sun lounger in the warmth. It wasn't too hot, reading and reading and reading. And I resonated so much with this book, I can't tell you. And I was meant to read it, and it's meant to, you know, when you're meant to read a book and it gives you a confirmation on what you're doing is right. Well, it was one of those books. Everything that was written in that book is what I do and what I teach, but I hadn't read the book and I didn't know who they were talking about. So somehow someone had given me all the information that I use in my life, teaching and helping others. And then I got the confirmation in that book that it was right. So that was amazing. So I did sit and I relaxed. As I was relaxing on the beach, I went to the same place every day. because it was a restaurant that had some loungers and umbrellas going down to the beach. And so long as you bought your lunch there and some drinks, you didn't have to pay for the sunbed. So I thought that's good. And he kept coming around asking if you wanted anything, are you all right? And I kind of, that's what I wanted. Bit of a Shirley Valentine. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, so I was watching these people on the beach doing what they were doing, having fun, smiling, nodding their head to say hello and all that kind of thing. If the heat coming down on my body, making me feel fed with vitamin D, I felt amazing. And then I used to watch the people paragliding, and I thought, oh, that looks good. They look relaxed, they look calm. I wonder what it feels like. Well, I watched them for 2 days, and there was this couple along from me on the beach, and he'd been on a speedboat, I think. And I says, oh, how was your speedboat? They were there for a couple of days. He says, oh, it wasn't very good. I said, oh, I want to do that paragliding. I said, I'm going to do it today. He says, oh, you're going to do it? I said, yes. And he looked at me and laughed. I says, why? He says, well, I'm going to make sure you do it. Anyway, he disappeared. He came back with the guy that gets commission, I guess, for booking the paraglides. Tanned Italian guy coming over, speaking a few words of English, few words of German, and a bit of Turkish and his own language. And he got his leaflet and he says, when do you want to do it? I said, today. He said, well, now. I said, okay. So I didn't even think about it. I just said yes. So I went over to their desk under this canopy and paid for it. And the next thing, they were putting a life vest on me. And the next thing, I was walking out to the sea, and I'm like, thinking to myself, how am I going to get on the boat out in the water? So a dinghy pulled up, a motorized dinghy, and it had got 3 Turkish men standing up in it. And it had got me. I'd clambered over the edge, slipped and slided, squeaked on the rubber with my bare feet. And I got on sitting on the side of it, holding on for my dear life. Not because I was fearful, because, well, I didn't know what was going to happen. And I thought, well, they're standing up and I'm holding on, but they did it every minute of every day. Then I thought, I've got to get off this dinghy and get onto the boat. And I couldn't see any steps or anything like that. So I had to haul myself, not at all ladylike, holding on to these 2 silver rails, pulling myself up. They give me a bit of a shove from behind into this boat. Sit, they said. So I sat, and then they harnessed me. They trussed me up. I'd already been told, be careful where the harness goes because it can get uncomfortable. But anyway, this harness went round my thighs, and then there was a rectangle of fabric that that was placed around your bottom. So I thought, oh, that's not so bad. And then I got all these clips and things, put me onto a bar. So I was in the middle of this bar, a metal bar covered in padding. And then he said, stand. He didn't speak much English, and then told me where to go. And I had to go and sit on the front of the boat. Sit, he said, sit. And I didn't. I didn't sit to start with. And I was trying to ask him, where do I hold? Where do I hold on? I wanted to know where to put my hands. And I was doing all this talking and he didn't understand me. And he went, sit down, woman. It was really quite funny. I found it funny anyway. So I sat down. Anyway, it just, nothing else. The guy that had helped me, that fastened me in and everything, he went back into the boat and picked up his camera. And the other guy said, I'm the captain. And then very slowly, I parted from the boat. So the boat was going one way and I was going the other. I was coming off the end of the boat and I was just gliding into space above the water, and I was leaving the boat and I was floating. Oh gosh, it was the most amazing feeling. It was just like I was part of the air almost, because I couldn't feel the fabric that I was sitting on. I couldn't feel the stuff around my thighs. I wasn't trussed up. I just felt like I was sitting in the air. It was amazing. And I went higher and higher and higher, but I didn't realize how high I was going. Um, and I was just floating around. But obviously, they were controlling where I was going, over the water, over the land. And the people, they dropped me a little bit lower, because the guy that got me into it made me do it on that day by just saying, you can do it now. They dropped me down and he was waving and shouting to me. But it was just such a lovely feeling. And it just felt amazing. The only thing that I felt was a judder every now and again. And I wasn't sure what that was, but it didn't matter. I didn't think about the knots that were tying me to the boat. I didn't think about the silver clips that were holding me to the bar, the metal bar. I just thought, wow, my legs were dangling, my arms dangled or held onto the straps. And it was the most relaxing thing I think that I've ever done. Not once did fear enter my mind with that, ever. So clearly, I have no fears of height like that. However, I once did go up in an apartment block to about floor 17, but I wasn't comfortable on the balcony. So maybe there is a little bit of a something there. But yeah, and then he kind of lowered me down a little bit and popped me into the water just up to my bum, and then out again. And then he was drawing me back into the boat. I sat down on the boat. He undid me. I stood up and I went into the boat. And that was it. It was amazing. There was two other people in the boat when I got there, and then they were getting and having their go, both going together. And he just told me to sit down, and I watched. I sat in the boat and watched. I had no fear of the water. I had no fear of the water. I did have a thought, oh, I wonder what I'm going to be like on this boat. And that thought disappeared. And I felt like, this is going to sound really weird to some of you, but I'm letting some of my weird stuff out in this podcast. I felt like I'd morphed with the boat, that I'd become one with the boat. Now, I've told this to someone and she laughed. And I've told it to someone else and she said, I believe you, Jan. She says, I don't know what that feels like. She says, I believe you. When I was in the boat, going up and down the lane in the sea while the other people were paragliding, I was morphed as the boat. I didn't feel separate to the boat. I just felt I was part of it. I felt every bump as if it was in my body, not against me. I didn't fight against the bump. I was at one with it. I moved with the boat. If you can understand that, thank you very much. If you can't, then maybe one day I hope you morph with something to get that feeling and that experience. Because for me, that was out of this world. That goes down as one of my out of this world experiences, morphing with the boat as much as sitting in the air on a paraglide experience. So as I was sitting in the boat, every time the boat hit a wave, it kind of it was like it was hitting a bit of a wall and then it stopped. So that was the feeling I was getting in the air, just a bit of a judder when the boat hit the wave, nothing to do with me being up there. So I actually got a ride on the boat whilst we were waiting for the other people. It was amazing. And then we had to scramble ourselves down onto the dinghy. So all three of us got on the dinghy, sitting on the sides, holding on. Even they were like, youngsters to me. And then the three Turks were standing in the middle, not even moving. It's like they morphed their feet into the dinghy because they didn't move. They were just stuck there. And we went back to the sand, the beach, and that was it. I did have the video that the drone took, and I will be posting that on my social medias for you to see. But I didn't have a fear. I'd watched for 2 days knowing that I would do it. I want to do that. I'm going to do that. I know I'll do that. I watched and then I did it. Even if the man hadn't, I can't remember his name, even if the man hadn't have called the sales guy and got me to do it, I would stood up then to go and book myself on it. It was actually amazing. It was an amazing feeling. So if you have a fear of paragliding, being in the air, getting on a dinghy, going in a speedboat, scrambling up into a speedboat, there's nothing to fear because I survived. Absolutely fabulous. So are you now recognizing some fears inside you? Do you know where your fears started from? Are you connecting to your fears? You heard me at the beginning talk about womb to 7. From when you're in the womb to the age of 7, you create life experiences, not just yourself, but from your parents, grandparents, other people that you meet, media, social media, TV, anything like that, advertising, going to school, going to nursery, people teaching you. You collect all of that stuff. Trust me. Trust me, you will have to let go of at least 80% of that as you're moving forward in your life, because that is conditioning you to someone else's standards and ways. It's not giving you the freedom of movement which your soul came here to have. So your soul came into your body, you were born, and your soul knows what experiences it needs to have. However, because you were young and you needed looking after, you needed feeding, you needed teaching, so society says, then it's taken away from you. It's subdued and conditioned by other people. You will have to let go of at least 80% if you want to live your fulfilled soul purpose life. Along that way, you're going to come against people who will disappear out of your life. Some people that you don't want to disappear, other people that you do, but that is the hard journey. Knowing that people are going to disappear, knowing that you've got to be so strong in yourself, in your conviction to being connected to your soul and moving forward. When you are like that, you feel amazing. You feel amazing every single day. You still experience things, you still get upset, and you still can't work stuff out sometimes, but you eventually do. But those feelings of upset and hurt don't last long. People, you don't hang on to stuff. It's like, that person did that and I'm crying, I'm sobbing, I can't get over it. I think I can't get over it. Within a day or 2 days, I'm over it. And I never, ever used to be like that. And that's how you will be. And that's how you will know that you're connecting to your soul purpose journey moving forward. You get over things a whole lot quicker. You move forward, not allowing other people's shite to stop you moving forward. That's how you know you've done it. That's how you know you're in the right place moving forward. So womb to 7 creates what other people want you to be. You then have to let go of the 80% to create the new you, the new version of you. So that's amazing. So you hear me talk of womb to 7. I have a course, well, it's a program of 7 sessions that is called Realign to Your True Self. And we have a whole session on releasing womb to 7. And very occasionally, you'll see me advertise a Zoom session, release your womb to 7. If you can, get yourself on it, because I'll do one-to-one with you and give you a couple of times where you really need to release to stop you, so that you can move forward. Now there'll be loads, but you get best to get rid of a couple, then some more will surface, get rid of them, and so on. It's kind of an ongoing thing that you'll always have something. I still have things to let go of, but it surfaces, I let go and I move on. It's simpler as you get more further along your journey. So look out for the womb to 7s. The spiritual development community that I have runs twice a week in Zoom sessions. So it's 2 Zoom sessions twice a month, 2 Zoom sessions a month of 2 hours each. That is building nicely now. I want people on there who are ready to open up to their spiritual path, who know they've got something but they don't know what to do with it, or who are curious, or who have been doing it for a long time, but for certain reasons it's kind of they've stopped and they want to get back into it, or just you are curious. Whatever your reason is, come and join me. You could be a subscriber on my podcast and get access to that. You need to just, if you subscribe, you'll see what you need to do for that. Or you can go to spiritual development on my website, johnmayfield.com, and sign up and become part of that community. You sign up for a monthly membership, but you can come and go as you please. And there's no penalties or tying in or anything like that. So that's what I've got running at the moment. And the Realign to Your True Self just start on the 2nd of June. So I don't know if everyone from this podcast, 2nd of June, 2024, let me say, because if you're listening to this in 2034, you might be thinking, what the hell is she talking about? And let me sign up to her community. I hope I'll still have it in 10 years and it will be massive. So that would be amazing. Or should I say I will have it in 10 years and it will be amazing. Amazingly huge. It's amazingly connected now. So your fear, let go of fear because it doesn't serve you. It was an experience you needed to have, but now you need to not have that experience. You need to release it. Release it now. It is absolutely life-changing. An easy way to release, I'll just say a little mantra now, and you can repeat that if you want to. Dear universal energies, I am now ready to release everything in my life, all my emotional connections to fears and things that have happened in my life in the past that no longer serve me. I am now ready to release all connections to these times. Please show me. Thank you. I am grateful. Please fill my life with abundance. Show me. I am grateful. Thank you. So you're asking to get rid, you're thanking for the experience. You're asking to get rid of. You're thanking to get rid of. You're asking the space that's been emptied to be filled with abundance and asking to show me and grateful for moving forward. You can do that, say that as much as you want, a lot every day, and you'll start to feel yourself releasing. Your shoulders will become looser. You'll have less knots in your belly and your heart will feel freer somehow spiritually. To me, part of unleashing your life's journey is about releasing fear from your life. I'm just going to touch on one other thing to do with fear. I often say, take fear with you. If you are in any of my communities, you will hear me say, don't let fear stop you, take fear with you. Now, if you imagine you've got a rucksack on your back and you write the word fear on a piece of paper when you're going to do something. So, for example, if I'd got a fear of flying, I could have put fear in a rucksack on my back when I did my paraglide. So I'm taking fear with me. So if I'm taking fear with me, I'm not fighting fear because it's coming with me. It feels easy. It's not stopping me doing anything. It's in my rucksack. Another way, when I do stand-up events, when I talk in front of an audience, people will often say to me, oh, you're so confident. Look at you, how confident you are. It's a pleasure to see someone so confident on a stage, right? Well, I make sure that any fears that I might have connecting to that, and I haven't really got any, but I write fear on a piece of paper, I put it in a rucksack, and I take it on the stage with me, and I put it on a table. And they're all looking, what's she put on that table? What's in that bag? And I don't really reveal it until halfway through the second half. And I show them what I've got in my bag. Because in that first half, when we've had a break, they've told me that I look confident and everything. I don't believe you can find confidence, but that's another story. But what I do believe is that you can take fear with you to stop you having a fear of doing something. So if I didn't take fear with me, I wouldn't be able to speak on stage in theory. What I also do is trust and believe. I trust that the universe has my back, and I believe that what I'm being guided to do is for me. So everything that the universe is giving me is for me. So when I go up on that stage, I trust and believe the universe will give me the words that I need to say to the right people in the audience. But also when I share my fear in the rucksack, it helps a lot of other people. And people have come up to me, which is quite amazing, at other events and said, "Hey, Jan, come and have a look." And they open their little purse with the money in, and they've got fear written on a piece of paper, and they show it to me. They say they never, ever take that fear out of that purse. It goes with them everywhere. And people do it with their children. "Oh, I don't really want to do that. I don't like that, Mummy. I can't do that." So they write the word fear on a piece of paper and say, "Come on, let's take the don't like with you," or "I can't do." Take it with you. Fear is all that. Don't like, can't do. So take it with you. So take your fear with you today, but make sure that you trust and believe that the universe has got your back, and that then gives perceived confidence to other people. I don't believe that you can create confidence. I believe confidence is something perceived by someone else from something you are doing, and you are doing it because you trust and believe, and you've taken your fear with you. Amazing. Amazing. There we go. Episode 5 in season 1 of my podcasting. Don't forget to listen to the other episodes if you're interested. Feel free to email me if you've got a topic that you would like me to cover, and sign up to be a subscriber on my podcast to get access to my spiritual development community. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to work with you. Have the most amazing day. Hey, 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 thank you for tuning in today. Your support is much appreciated. Please consider leaving a review, sharing on social media, and telling your friends about my podcast. You can also join my newsletter at johnmayfield.com. Remember, take what resonates from Zoetic Chat and enrich your life with wisdom in all areas. And stay tuned for the next episode.